is Kayla MiChele at Documentary Beauty, and today we are diving deep with the talented, beautiful, and inspiring world-renowned celebrity makeup artist Sarah Tanno. You may know Sarah from watching her touch up Lady Gaga on the Met Gala red carpet, or even from seeing her name as the makeup artist working on iconic covers for American Vogue. Sarah, welcome.
Oh my God, hearing all that almost brings tears to my eyes, Kayla. I feel like we came up together in New York, and it's been so fun to have our community of artists and then watch everybody's careers really just take off.
I agree. You gave me goosebumps. We were, just starting out and had big dreams, and it's amazing to see everyone, like you said, everyone just becoming so major and going on their own paths, and it's so impressive. I can't wait to hear all the details about your career story and any advice you have for inspiring beauty artists and just straight up celebrate the magic that is you. We have been friends for countless years, and I'm so proud to see what incredible career you've manifested. And I'd love to get started with a little moment I love to call Beauty Artist Conversations. Documentary Beauty asked our top beauty artist peers to join in on the conversation. Here's what they wanted to ask you, Sarah.
Okay.
So my first question is from a pretty well-known celebrity makeup artist named Michael Anthony.
Oh, I love Michael Anthony. He's a good friend of mine.
So he said, I'd love to know from Sarah, who would you want to shadow for one day, dead or alive?
That's a really great question. I think for me, it would have to be Stefan Moraes because of the supermodel era. I think coming up studying tutorials and shows, I was always completely enamored by the work he did with Linda Evangelista and all the supers, and starting in the 80s and 90s with Irving Penn. And when I lived in New York, around the time we met, I remember just sitting in my little studio apartment and recreating every single look from his Polaroids book that he had, and just trying to recreate it on myself. And that is somebody who's really inspired me that I've never honestly been able to meet in person, but would love to get in his brain.
I'm sure, a fly on the wall.
Sure, that would be major.
Another question from Michael Anthony is, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment in your artistic endeavors?
Oh, he really went for it, huh? Wow.
Too many to count, girl. Too many to count.
No, it's not that. You know what it is? I feel as of recently, my life as a makeup artist has taken on different responsibilities that are both exciting and just different. Now working with Gaga all this time, and now we have a brand, Haus Labs, that I get to work with her on. I feel like we have a different responsibility where it's not just turning out looks or, creating new trends or, or just being us. It's now we're making actual makeup products for other people, and we both take it really seriously, and it's been such a wild ride. And now I feel Haus Labs has become such an important part of my life because I work on so many different parts of the brand. But something I'm really, really proud of is as of recently, I've always wanted other peers of mine, other makeup artists, to really love the products. For me, that's the highest honor. And that's the way I know we're really doing something right. And our foundation, the Triclone Skin Tech Foundation, just got an Allure Best of Beauty Award, which I'm very, very proud of. And my inbox is completely full with every makeup artist, top artist, asking for the foundation, the concealer, and all our complexion products. And so for me, I feel my greatest artistic endeavor and accomplishment is just making something not only I'm proud of, but that my artist friends love and are really proud to use in their makeup kit. Cause you know how it is. You find products that you love and you trust. They're in your kit for some of them I've had products in my kit for a decade. And I'm like scared to change because you trust them. You know what they're going to do.
Exactly.
And like people are changing these trusted products in their kit for ours. And that is like so meaningful to me.
Yeah. What a compliment. And, you know, our peers are very obviously picky and we're judged behind the scenes by so many people, photographers, art directors. And, you know, it's really incredible to know that like authentic beauty experts are choosing you. That's a very unexpected answer. And I love it. That's really cool, Sarah.
Yeah, it's like, honestly, when you think about like developing products that are new and different, just like Gaga always challenges us, like, okay, I want it to be clean, but I want the ingredients to be good for your skin. And like, what are they going to do? And what complexes are we going to do? It can't be like anything else, but also it's going to be clean, but it has to be high performance. And then like, you know, like from my work with Gaga, you know, we don't just stay in one lane. She does TV, film, music, everything you could think of. So we test all these products and all these different medias of makeup. And I remember the day we were doing the campaign for the actual foundation with Inez and Vanud. And I remember Inez like loving the foundation because she said it was like virtually undetectable. And for someone who works in makeup, like when you're doing editorials and stuff, like you don't want to see that there's anything sitting on the skin. Or if you're doing a red carpet, you want it to look like a natural glow on the skin, not like someone's wearing, you know, a heavy face of makeup. So for me, those things like really, really are like the highest form of any kind of artistic compliment.
Wow, you're right. And you know what? That is a good lead into our next question. So Frederick Stambro, who's a celebrated fashion makeup artist,
Yes.
he has a question for you. He said, how do you feel about the trend with contouring, highlighting, and so forth? Just trying to turn out models and artists to get a super face is what he called it. Instead of trying to accent what is beautiful with them and perhaps like let them have a big nose or no cheekbones and so forth.
Wow. No, that's a really like smart, interesting, because, question because of like the times. Like I feel like trends happen so quickly now because of social media and TikTok that like I can't even keep up with them and honestly don't really care. So I gotta tell you, I might not be the right artist to answer this in that kind of a way because I think for me, what's special is like whoever's in my chair, I really like to make it like a conversation and a collaboration. I don't want it to be just whatever makeup or contouring or whatever, you know, the assignment is. I don't want to just put it on their face. I want them to feel like it becomes part of them because they're the one wearing it ultimately and they're the one that's going to have to sell it, whether it's a character in a movie or it's someone that's modeling in a campaign. It's on their face. So what I like to do often is discuss it with the person in my chair. And I don't even care if it's a model, like I still bring them into the conversation. And if it's a feature, I'll talk about it and pass a mirror back and forth because to me, it's like I could paint whatever I want on their face, but unless they believe it and feel like they could sell it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And you know what? On top of that, it's like the models or the talent or the client, like it's so important, your job, or also as a hairstylist too, like we really help set the tone for the day because they like sit in our chair and if they're not feeling comfortable, you're right, like they have to sell it. They have to go forward and like their experience. They have to feel comfortable with the conversation they had, the way that they look, you know, it's like it's an important part.
Yeah, really. Like there's been so many, you know, photo shoots I've been on where, you know, they might do retouching or something and they say they don't want any makeup on, you know, might be as simple as just doing something really scrubbed and clean, but you know, the model might have an insecurity about a certain thing. It's like, I'm going to like help them and fix them and make it so like they feel confident in front of the camera, no matter what it is. So I think it's like really important to bring the person you're working with into the process, you know, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So I have one more celebrity makeup artist. She has a couple questions for you. Her name is Carolina Dali.
Ooh, major.
She wrote, her first one is, what inspired you to want to become a makeup artist?
Okay, this might be like a super cliche answer, but when I was growing up in the 90s, I used to come home from school and like on cable television, there was this show called Fashion TV, and it kind of went backstage on all the runways and stuff. And me and my friend used to be obsessed with it. And that's where I learned about Kevin Aquan and got to see him working with all the supermodels backstage and working with the designers. And to be honest with you, I didn't really know that being a makeup artist was a career or a job until that moment. And that's where it really like opened up my eyes to the possibility that that could be something that I really wanted to do. Because previously, like, I grew up in the woods, like in Chesterland, Ohio, and rode horses. And that was pretty much all I cared about until that moment.
Life changing on every level.
Life changing on every level.
Nice. Okay. So she also asked, we all know our jobs are not glamorous all the time. What's the hardest part of being a makeup artist and how do you overcome it?
Wow, that's a really good one. I don't know that I still overcome it, to be honest. It's like, I think our job is really hard because we are, like, for the most part, freelance in different forms. And I think that it's really hard to keep up because now more than ever, so many artists out there that like it's hard to say no sometimes or prioritize other things in your life. And I think for so long in my career, I never said no. And I missed out on so many important things in my life, like with my family. And that's something you don't necessarily think of when you take on a job like this. But I moved away when I was pretty young and to really focus on this career. And I've missed so much of my family's life that now I kind of like deal with some of that regret often, which is really hard. And I think I don't really know balance. So I think with artistry, it's really hard for me, even at home. If I have a lot of jobs going on, I don't come home and then immediately I have family time. I have a really hard time of dropping it. I get kind of almost like deeply obsessed in a way with like whatever's going on in my work life that I'm not able to drop it. So I think that having balance would be something that would really change my life, but I haven't figured it out yet. And that's like more of the unglamorous part of the job. And also like, I guess you would never think about this when you sign up for a career like this, but the body pain, man, that is something, I don't know if you deal with it, but that is something like is a constant problem for me. I'm always, I have lots of appointments with chiropractors and, physical therapy and, thing and all those kind of things. I really try to take care of my body, but it's hard when you're on your feet, hunched over doing makeup and carrying 80-pound bags all over the world,
Oh, wow. That's a good point. True.
Correct.
All right. So another question from her. This is the last question from Carolina Deli. Is there a beauty look you've been wanting to create but haven't had the chance to yet?
I don't think so. I mean, no, I don't know. I guess I've never really thought about it. I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out on the next project that needs an assignment like this. I just guess I don't really think of makeup in trends like, oh, I have to try that new trend and see what it does for me. So I don't know that I like focus on things like that as much.
Sure. And the other thing too is like you also, not only do you do like the gorgeous red carpet looks, but you also have clients that allow you to explore with like creative and sometimes like even more like outrageous looks, that are really fun and exciting. So I don't know, you've expressed yourself for so long with so many different things,
It's so funny. Like I'm like looking at my inspiration wall right now that has like a lot of like really cool inspiration on it. And from like all the different mood boards of different jobs that I've made mood boards for. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because I've changed all sorts of things to Gaga's eyes and bleached her brows and done so many, I can't even tell you the countless objects I've glued to her face at this point. So I can't really nail down a single thing that like is just haunting me to do just yet.
Hey, how long have you been working with Gaga?
I came on her, I was part of her team since 2009,
Okay.
but coming up on 10 years of personal.
Okay, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you were with her team for quite a few years. You started on her team in 2009. Okay, I see. All right, yeah. I did the math. Never mind.
Yep. Like 2009. That's when like, I remember like me, you and Aaron Parsons, we used to sit around and talk about the careers we wanted and how hard it was. And it was like Aaron got the job with Pat the same year that I got the job with Gaga. And it was kind of like opposite kind of worlds. But like whenever I would come home from tour working with her dancers, Aaron would try to get me to work with Pat and was like, come on board, be my second, come work on this incredible team. And, working with Pat's like going to Harvard. So I don't know why I just like had a feeling with Gaga that I was just going to get the education of a lifetime. Like I would have working with Pat in a different form, and even though I wasn't working on Gaga herself at that time, I just for some reason believed I would get an opportunity to again one day and stuck it out, but
you followed your intuition on that one.
I really did, but like I think about it all the time because what a beautiful, incredible career like Aaron has,
Yes.
Both so cool, different ends of the spectrum and both so creative,
Yes, very much. And when you say Pat, you mean Pat McGrath, the iconic editorial runway.
Queen of all.
The queen. She's it. Okay. So I want to get into knowing a little bit more about little Sarah. So have you always wanted to be a makeup artist even as a little girl?
Honestly, no. When I was really little, in Cleveland, I grew up in Chesterland, Ohio. Like I said, it was like deep in the woods, not like maybe like 150 people in my graduating class. It was pretty like small community. I just became completely obsessed with horses and I used to show competitively and that kind of like ran my entire life where I didn't really have many friends at school or anything. I basically lived in a barn and started working at a young age. I like, for me to be able to do the horse shows, I had to like basically shovel shit to pay for the horse shows. And I like to work really hard from a young age and pay my own way and figure it out. And when I became 16, my parents were kind of like, okay, you can get another horse and show in this kind of class, or you can get a car. And like, I thought about that and I was like, wow, I really have no friends. I would love to have a life in high school. And it's kind of the same time that I learned about Kevin and started exploring makeup. And I used to, not only do makeup on myself, but I would do makeovers on my friends and their hair and makeup for all the dances. And like eventually when I was 16, I took this really pathetic like book I made of before and after photos into Sephora. And like they were the people who gave me a job doing makeup. So
I have one of those too, by the way.
Yeah, that's where it all began. I wish I still had it because it was really hysterical. I hung up like a sheet in my bedroom and like would mess their hair up and make them look really bad and then make them look good. It's so hysterical.
Oh my God. I mean, my before and afters, the afters also looked bad. Way back then. Okay. So, were you also born in Ohio?
I was born in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. Cool.
And I lived there till I was about 18 and then went to a makeup school in Florida. And then I just started moving around LA, New York, all over the place.
Cool. And now you're in LA most of the time.
Yes. Now I live in LA and I love it here so much.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about your education. You said you went to makeup school, so that was not cosmetology school, right?
I did go to cosmetology school right out of high school because, I was thinking of doing the esthetician school, but they talked me into doing hair too because living in Cleveland, you kind of have to be able to do everything because there's not a lot of jobs. A lot of them are e-com. So you have to kind of do hair, makeup, and wardrobe styling even for a lot of the jobs that I did there. So I did do full cosmetology, even though I wasn't super passionate about hair. I knew that I would have to do both to make more money. And then from there, since it didn't really teach you too much about makeup, I went to a school in Florida just because I couldn't afford to go to school and work at the same time in LA. And that was Joe Blasco, which was a school that taught you everything from, basics through special effects. So I did do that. And then, that's when I met with photographer Chadwick Tyler, who really, I think, started to teach me so much about, makeup and photography. And that's really, I think, where my love for fashion makeup took off.
Cool. And you dropped doing hair?
I still had to do hair until, I think, for like the first 5 or 6 years that I did makeup, probably, because it just, every job, the lower budget jobs, they kind of want one person. So I did do hair. I'm not saying that it was good, but I did hair and makeup for quite a while. And after living in Florida, I wanted to get out. So moved to LA and just continued to just hustle and do what I could.
So you went from Florida to LA, and then you were in New York.
Yeah. So LA, things were just starting to take off for me. I had finally started to dabble a little bit and doing some performance and celebrity makeup. I remember I'd gotten a job with Furby, and she was looking for a new makeup artist for tour, and I was up for it. I'm so excited about it. And then something went really wrong in a personal relationship I had. My ex-fiance and I broke up, and he left me with $38,000 worth of credit card debt, and moved me out of my apartment when I was working one day, and basically took away everything I had. And I had nowhere to go. I had no apartment, no job now, no anything. And I had to move back to Cleveland with all this debt and start over completely. So for 3 years, I was like, I'm going to give myself 3 years to pay off this debt and get out of here. I'm going to New York next. And at that point, I just took anything I could. I was working at an agency in Cleveland trying to do e-commerce jobs. I was working at a strip club doing makeup at night for the strippers. I was bartending and promoting nightclubs. I mean, I did everything you could think of just to pay that debt off. And then I finally moved to New York and met up with you.
I love it. I didn't know some of this stuff about you. I'm loving this. I mean, when we get together, we're not just interviewing each other for an hour.
That's true. That was a rough time. But I mean, I think when I look at hard times now or failures or things, I look at that time in my life, and it would have been really easy for me to give up everything right at that point and just lived in Cleveland like most of the people I grew up with, and not take a chance and go back out there and fail again. And I'm really proud that I believed I could do it again, because I was pretty beat up at that time. Just pushing through and knowing that you could do anything you want has really been something I think in my younger days I was really, really good at. And for anyone else out there listening that might be in a time of the failure, it's just keep going. You never know what is around the corner. I think I'm a true testament to that,
Totally. Believing is a big deal. So.
Even you.